Hello, my name is Matthew, and if you've been following along, I've been reading through the Norton Anthology of English literature, and I just finished reading Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. And in my mind, there's been a turning point. Marlowe is also a contemporary of Shakespeare, so it feels like there has been a significant change in the literary landscape. So I thought it was a good time to take a moment and talk about my experience reading through the anthology up until this point and reflect a little bit and also talk about how I'm going to approach the rest of the anthology. And in general, this has been a really satisfying experience and also rewarding. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I also feel that my reading comprehension skills have gotten better. Um, it's been fascinating starting at the beginning and working my way through and seeing the development of the English language. It feels that way. The Old English in this anthology has been translated, but the Middle English is in the original text, and seeing um, sort of this fluid um, language evolve and um, turn into the world and language that I know has been um, like I said, rewarding. Um, One thing that I don't know how much I've talked about through this series is how challenging this has been. I don't know if I mentioned it in my videos, but some of the texts that I've made videos on, I've had to reread 2 or 3 times to understand it myself and also understand it enough to be able to talk about and talk to you about. And that has been important. I've approached a lot of these as study and instead of pure leisure. And since I've been excited about it, it's been easy. I think I would have had a lot of difficulty um, reading many of these works in a classroom setting. Um, as far as the works themselves, um, I was very surprised by how many I turned out actually enjoyed without reservation. Really old, strange things, odd religious plays, um, hymns, fragments, um, bizarre poems. There's been a lot of things that look intimidating, and with a little bit of work, I've learned why they were popular. There's also been themes that I've noticed. This is early England at its earliest point and growing, and you can see um, this feeling of hopelessness and concern for the security of the people that are there at the time. They're hungry and frightened and worried of the future, and so many of these works address um, feelings of safety and security, looking for leadership, looking for some sort of institution, whether it's a church or the government. Um, Almost as soon as these people were in England, they were already fantasizing about an idealized version of the past England. Straight away, there's a King Arthur and all of the knights. So they're dreaming of this world where they're happy and safe, um, because they're missing those things at the time. So even in Beowulf, you have this mythological, heroic figure. Um, in the Canterbury Tales, just the feeling of having conversations, storytelling, being able to talk, and up until all of the stories with King Arthur and the knights, and also There's been Robin Hood, which I don't think I had mentioned, but Robin Hood comes up in a lot of poems, all the way up until Dr. Faustus, where it's immediately recognizable that this is now a society that has grown. They've figured out and advanced so much. They have the arts, they have the sciences, they have medicine. There's institutions set up to have a society. There's theaters and proper stages. Some of the earlier plays were just told out in the street. Now Marlowe is writing plays specifically for the intention of being on a stage where people will go and watch outside of the church. It's amazing. I'm going to be skipping over Shakespeare. I've read a good many plays, so I'm not going to spend too much time with that. I should also mention I didn't make a video for every single work in here. There were a lot of like popular ballads and shorter poems. Sometimes some of the authors had a couple pieces of work, and I would just choose one to focus on. But now that we're going to be working after Shakespeare, there's been another very noticeable change, which is that writing has now become a much more widely accepted career path. There's a lot of working writers that have whole bodies of work. So we're past the point of having surviving fragments or people that were writing things on the side or just have one work that we have or anything like that. Now we have John Donne, who you can have a volume all on his own. And so many of the writers that I'm looking at, people that I don't know, but John Herrick, George Herbert, Richard Crawshaw, Henry Vaughan, and it goes on. They have whole sections. Like Shakespeare probably has the largest whole section in this book, but the writers coming up also will just have a whole list of poems. And it looks like that's how it carries on, which makes sense. Now there's more and more writers. There's way of disseminating these works much more easily than it was in the past. So my question, if you're interested in helping me along, is I'm curious to know if you have any preferences on how I move forward. So my next writer is going to be John Donne, and there's probably 50 pages, 60 pages of his poems. Should I just pick one poem and focus on it and then talk about one poem? Should I be talking about the authors themselves? Do a video just on John Donne? Should I read all the poems and then try to come up with some sort of unifying theme of each person's work? It's also worth pointing out that I don't go to school. I didn't go to school for any of this, and not that I don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't have a background in literary studies, so doing a video on the life of John Donne or the work of John Donne, even saying it out loud feels daunting. But in order to move through this, I should have some sort of plan, and if these videos interest you, I want to make sure that you can enjoy them along with me. So if you have any comments, or if you have any advice, suggestions, I'd really be happy and grateful to hear them. So I'll end there. We're more than a third of the way through, which is something cool. So yeah, leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching.